framework than Oregon, but so I think maybe some interesting lessons learned. We're going to start with Yanmei Wu, and I'm sorry I didn't ask about your name pronunciation earlier, so I hope it's not too far off. But she is with SACOG, Transportation Modeling and Analysis team, currently managing the team, been involved in a number of metropolitan plan and sustainable community strategy updates and modeling, and works on activity-based travel demand model development. Also a passionate gardener and has a very edible yard.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Yeah, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, great. Yep. Yeah, all right. Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, really appreciate the opportunity to share some of our considerations and strategies to address greenhouse emissions in the process of long-range planning and the short-term project implementation and the funding process. Here's a kind of outline of my presentation. I will start with some background information about the California state laws, legislations related to climate goals and GHG reduction targets, especially those ones relevant to our planning process. Then we give you a high-level overview about how we meet GHG reduction targets in long-range planning and how we fund projects in short-term implementation. Just a little bit explanation here. We call our long-range plan is MTPSS. MTP is stand for Metropolitan Transportation Plan. It's a federal requirement, and we include SAS is a state, California state requirement. SAS stands for Sustainable Community Strategy. And then at the end, I will give a quick introduction about the tools, tools and the data we use to evaluate, plan policies and strategies and the project for performance. And some background about California's laws and regulations. Yeah, California was probably the first state, I learned Oregon really kind of started really early in the US to take a proactive and comprehensive actions to address climate change due to greenhouse gas emissions. In 2006, the passage of the California Global Warming Solution Act, also called Assembly Bill AB 32, established the foundation and the basis for almost all California subsequent efforts to reduce GHG emission. Over years, a number of laws and legislations have passed to address climate change. Here, just mention a few important and relevant ones to our planning. Senator Bill SB 375 was probably the first of its kind law to recognize the critical role of integrated transportation, land use, and housing decisions to have GHG reduction. SB 375 is most relevant to MPO's long-range transportation plan. Under SB 375, California Air Resources Board developed the scoping plan and set state and MPO's GHG targets. I'll give you more details about SB 375 in later slides. It's worth to mention the governor's executive order in 1919, signed in September of 2019, which set more aggressive targets on zero-emission vehicles. Under the order, by 2035, 100% of new passenger cars and light-duty vehicles, and by 2045, 100% of all new vehicles, including heavy trucks, should be zero emission. To achieve the ambitious GHG reduction goals, California really takes three-pronged approaches. The first two strategies set standards and provide incentives to have cleaner vehicles or fuels. Large shares of GHG reductions probably come from these two strategies. However, the third one, reducing VMT, is more sustainable and more relevant to our MPO's planning work because it takes a multi-front approaches, integrated land use and transportation development, encourage multimodal travel and promote healthier lifestyle. Why VMT reduction? Because the SB 375 focuses on GHG reduction from passenger vehicles, which account for roughly 30% of greenhouse gas emissions in California currently. So VMT is the first kind of line measure to compute GHG from passenger vehicle travel. So the emission tools, such as MFAC, will be used to compute GHG based on VMT. So later I'll mention VMT a lot. So more on SB 375 on the next slides. Senator Bill, SB 375 requires MPOs like SACOG to include a sustainable community strategy, in short is SAS, in the regional RTP transportation plan or metropolitan transportation plan. This MTP in our case. MPOs in California are responsible for conducting land use and transportation planning in a way that reduce greenhouse gases from cars and light-duty trucks. Under SB 375, the California Air Resources Board is responsible for issuing greenhouse gas reduction targets. The metric is defined as a as a percentage of reduction of GHG per capita by 2035 as compared to a 2005 baseline. For SACOG's current MTPSS, CARB assigned SACOG a target of 19% per capita greenhouse reduction. SB 375 also provides several CEQA reform provisions. CEQA stands for California Environmental Quality Act. This includes streamlined review and analysis of residential or mixed-use projects consistent with the SAS. Also modified review and analysis through a expedited sustainable community environmental assessment for transit priority projects. In all the cases, MTPSS, environmental impact report will serve a fourth tier environmental document under the CEQA. Also now some state competitive funding program requires SAS contingency. For example, in 3 major regional projects sponsored by SACOG, will be awarded around 145 million in funding from our SB1 grant because they are consistent with our SAS framework and goals. Now, I'll turn on to SACOG, long-range plan. I'll do a quick kind of overview of the strategies we use to reduce GHG targets. And SACOG is kind of like SACOG region is located in the north and central of California. It's closer to Oregon, to your state. SACOG member agencies include 6 counties and 22 cities in these 6 counties. You all probably know that California state capital is located in the city of Sacramento, in the county of Sacramento there. SACOG has about 2.4 million residents and about 1 million jobs now, and will reach about 3 million population and 1.3 million jobs by 2040 as forecasted in the current MTPSS. SACOG updates, long-range plan every 4 years. The current MCS was adopted in November of 2019. We called it as the 2020 MTPSS because it was originally planned to adopt, in the spring of 2020. And the 2020 MTPSS lays out a transportation investment and land use strategy to support a prosperous region, which access to jobs and economic opportunity, transportation options, and affordable housing that works for all residents. The plan also lays out a path for improving our air quality, preserving open space and natural resources, also helping California achieve its goal to reduce GHG emissions and that attributes to climate change. California Air Resources Board has approved our SS with strategies leading GHG per capita reduction of 19% by 2035, comparing to a level in 2005. I'll give a quick overview about our strategies. Next slide. To achieve a 90% per capita reduction target in passenger vehicles, we are using the combination of these 4 strategies. More specifically, in the land use development, we put a lot of attention to infill development, mixed use development. And the first time, in the long-range plan, we introduced and include a pricing strategy. We include facility pricing and also the mileage fee based user fee, actually it's kind of moving fuel tax to mileage fee. Also kind of fund projects, like to the RTS, TDM, and also the electrification of the transportation system. Next, I'll give you a little bit like overview is talk about like how we select the roadway capacity projects in our long range plan. Because we all recognize that capacity projects will generate more VMT. We put a kind of develop some kind of process but not a kind of using some kind of mathematical formula or algorithm. Basically, we started with the initial screening. We ran modeling kind of with all the projects, kind of using the base year and horizon year. And we look at the congestive VMT in the baseline, base year and the horizon year. Also look at the lane mileage change and also the volume compared with the capacity ratios. We do an initial screen, and then we consulted with the project sponsors and consider all the factors, like reduce congestion, safety, traffic. If that project, has a traffic impact fee associated. Also, if the project, has a SACOG mitigation connection. Also, consider all the region-wide and the long-term economic development goals. Consider all the factors and then select all the projects, and then do a kind of system-level performance evaluation. Just all the projects included, will meet, SAS GHG target, the 19% reduction. So that's kind of long-range planning, and then kind of give a kind of quick overview about the. There's still a long-range plan. There's some emerging issues, with our long-range planning. We are there will be a kind of harder target, from a state, the Air Resources Board. So, for example, in the 2016, last MTPSS, the state gave us a target 16% reduction, and then in this as MTPSS. So we have a 19% reduction target. It's and then the CARB is considering maybe have a more aggressive target in the next MTPS, and also the target is applied to all projects, not like in SACOG region. It's like, we need to consider of the inter-regional travel, what's the impact, to our region. And there's also a question from all the MPOs, there's the VMT target, I didn't kind of mention that. So the VMT target for the MTP is a 14% reduction from a baseline. This MTP, we have a 2016 year as a baseline. So the horizon year is 2040. So the VMT reduction is 14%. And then we have a GHG reduction target, is in compare 2035, to a baseline of 2005. They're just, we try to figure out, how to kind of work, make these two targets, work together. Now, moving to short range planning, I'll give just kind of quick overview how the process works, and how we the strategies to set out the factors to select to fund the project and the priorities. The funding program not only account for 7% of the overall 35 billion budget, kind of accounted in the SAS. That's a small amount, but we have a greater control. So the project side, we have a cycle is about 1 or 2 years, we have a cycle. So probably during the cycle, we allocated about 100 to 200 million. The project with this multiple programs, we have active transportation program, and we have TDM, there's housing programs. And then the criteria is really multiple. It's not just GHG. I'll give you more details in the next slide. Yeah, next few slides. Basically, MTP SAS kind of acting as an umbrella. So in the short-range funding process, our project is in the SAS. So there's anything we select is add up to a lower GHG in a long range. We developed a online tool we call a project performance assessment. For each of the projects, we look at the context kind of area. We develop 7 indicators, kind of criteria, to do a apple-to-apple comparison using a lot. We have assembled quite the data layers together. Like all the traffic and the VMT from base year and to the horizon year. We also look at the equity, the environmental justice area, how the people affected, by the project. The guideline, really emphasizes, on the project readiness and the current needs. Next slide. So just give show you kind of the quick, the outcome or the 7 performance outcomes, associated, with all the measures, we use to evaluate the benefit of, each of the projects, it's yeah, basically, so the VMT reduction is kind of a first goal, the outcome, and also we consider, if it's towards, relieve congestion, if there increase multi-modal travel, and also we look at long-term, economic benefit, and there's yeah, if it's improve, good movement, we have yeah, kind of a lot the the agriculture, like a service and a market there. So we also look at, the farm to market travel. And the safety, security, definitely is a very important one. Also, like, yeah, we also look at, the maintenance, and the state of good repair. On top of this, we also consider equity in all of these, the indicators and the measures. Next, I'll give you a kind of quick introduction of the tools, and the data, we are using. SACOG, is maintaining a activity-based, travel model. We are probably the first of few MTOs, really start, a development of activity-based model since 2005. We have used our model in the last 3 MTBSS development, to evaluate policies and strategies. Our model is really a open source, and anybody can acquire the model, and we also share all our scenarios, the inputs, all the input, and also we provide a support to really help the consultant mostly work with DOT, with MP, local jurisdictions to evaluate their general plan update, and also project level evaluation using the travel model. The project performance assessment tool is an online tool. It's everybody can use that, but that tool really is used, for the project, screening. We don't score, for the measures, in those 7 outcomes, I just mentioned. Those outcomes were really it's kind of got a weighting, not really score, kind of weight, in different projects, yeah, project by project. Also, we have kind of the process and the tools, to provide support, for the environmental review, to help, the local jurisdictions, to really streamline their process. And I haven't mentioned like SB 743. Probably a lot of you have kind of learned that California is in the stage of implementing State Bill 743. So 743 really is focused on the the VMT reduction, and is the goal of SB 743 is to promote in-field development, and promote kind of basically just kind of encourage less travel. So VMT is really is an important measure in the SB 743. Under SB 743, we assembled VMT per capita map to support the local jurisdictions the implementation for the initial project screen. Next,
if you could wrap up just in a minute.
Yeah. This is kind of last slides. Yeah. So what's next? Yeah, for our long-range assess project prioritization. Yeah, we are in the kind of thinking, yeah, in the consideration, develop more kind of robust, rigorous phasing analysis for project, including the SAS. We have a benefit cost analysis tool kind of in place, but it's really kind of time consuming to evaluate one project. We are considering to improve or simplify the process and the methodology. For short-range projects, we are considering to expand, improve, the data layers, and also may improve the, the PPA tool, the project performance projection performance assessment tool, the user interface, make it more stable and robust. And yeah, and also we are considering, we have a big data pilot, kind of in progress in the final evaluation stage. Yeah, Replica, most of you probably heard about that, But we are thinking, to do a collaboration with local jurisdictions, to have a long-term, big data platform to support, all the project, evaluation. Yeah, that's the kind of end of my presentation. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. That was a great introduction to what California is doing with a different regulatory framework than Oregon. One thing I was going to say is, if you have questions as we go along, we should have time in the Q&A to get back to those, but go ahead and type them in the chat box, and there may also be some that can be easily answered online, as well as probably some that may be worth more discussion. So our final panel